Episode 500.
Respectful. Great one.
Unlike Blue River, who was stubbornly persistent, Cold Night crossing the icy pool had no choice but to grit his teeth and step up after being assigned by Zhang Yu.
What's up?
Over here, Yi Shu replied instantly, looking perfectly at ease.
Got a minute to talk?
Night crossing the cold pond said,
Go ahead.
Can we just not fight? We'll take the L this time.
Better to be direct about it. All that beating around the bush, and he still probably wouldn't be a match for the other guy.
Oh, sure.
Ah, thanks.
Night crossing the cold pool hadn't expected the other party to be so straightforward. His eyes lit up with pure happy.
So, are we talking territorial concessions or reparations?
What?
Night crossing Cold Lake instinctively replied. But after a moment's thought, a cold sweat broke out on his brow.
The territorial concession is letting us have Qianbo Lake for leveling. As for reparations, same as before. I'll send you the materials list.
Yi Shu replied, an answer Night's cold pool had already anticipated. He'd already sweated through his dread.
What? That can't be right.
Night crossing the cold pool had no real negotiating strategy. He was just spouting nonsense.
Surrendering always involves concessions and reparations, right? Letting you choose between the two is pretty generous, don't you think?
Night crossing the cold pool was thoroughly exasperated. He'd been given full authority, but if he actually presented terms like these, he figured even a screenshot wouldn't be enough to save him. But the idea of having proof gave Cold Night crossing an idea. He took a screenshot of his chat log with Lord Grimm and sent it straight into the group chat.
So, what's everyone's take on this?
Night Frost was being clever. He wasn't acting as a negotiator anymore. He'd switched to being a messenger. The list of materials Lord Grimm wanted was something almost every guild leader in the 10th server had seen, but many of the top guild leaders from the Heavenly Domain had no idea about it. They frowned, asking one after another.
What the hell is that?
It's simple. He just has the right conditions.
Blue River, however, had the leisure to explain things to everyone. The group clearly had no goodwill toward Blue River at the moment. They ignored him, simply listening as another 10th server guild leader gave a brief explanation.
Haas, hand over Thousand Wave Lake to them? Are you kidding me? Their whole guild only has 5 people at level 40, and 2 of them can't even join for another 5 days.
Snapped the guild leader.
Why don't we have him draw up a list of materials first?
Mataxi Fang said.
Yeah, let's check the list first.
Misty Rain Lock Tower added. The guild leaders of the 10th server all chose silence at that moment. They wouldn't even talk about looking at the list, because they could already predict it would be utterly inhumane. The guild leaders are going to have their minds blown by this list. Night Tide Cold Abyss didn't waste any time. He immediately went to find Lord Grimm and asked if he could see a list. Of course Yi Chu had anticipated this. He knew they had a whole group of people discussing it. After all, he'd fought them before and he had a pretty good idea of how many guilds were involved. Without a moment's hesitation, he promptly sent over a thick list. The sheer speed of it made Cold Night Crossing wonder if Yi Chu had it prepared all along.
Holy crap, why doesn't he just go rob a bank?
Sure enough, after the list was screenshotted and sent back to the discussion group, the several guild leaders who had just arrived in the 10th server from the Heavenly Domain were all left utterly bewildered.
Honestly, the way he's been earning materials is far better than just stealing them.
Blue River's inner monologue was a running commentary. Misty Rain Locked Tower looked at the screenshot of the list. He hemmed and hawed for a good while, completely at a loss for words.
But if we all take a closer look and split the cost between our guilds, this list is well within our means.
Blue River said.
Blue River, whose side are you on, exactly?
Some people immediately began to question Blue River's loyalties.
I was just helping everyone understand his style. He's always been like this. He'll make you feel the pinch, but he never crosses your psychological line. I can't be the only one who feels that way, right?
The 10th server guild leaders were starting to get used to it, but the visiting Heavenly Domain guild masters clearly couldn't stomach the astronomical price Ye Chu was asking.
Ah, whatever.
The first to speak was Misty Rain Locked Tower, who had been silent for a while.
I just don't believe it. Thousand Waves Lake is huge, and they only have a few people. How can they possibly control the entire area? Brother Misty Rain is right.
Ma Taxifang, who had always gotten along well with Misty Rain Locked Tower, immediately voiced his stance. At this moment, the guilds absolutely had to stand united, because, just as Blue River had assessed, the materials Lord Grimm demanded were always exceptionally tricky. Splitting the cost equally was already a bitter pill to swallow, but if one guild backs out, forcing the rest to shoulder an even larger share, that becomes downright unacceptable. Ye Chu didn't know that one guild, Herbal Hall, had already dropped out, so the list he'd drawn up meant the remaining guilds would have to split the cost evenly, a prospect they found extremely unpalatable. With 2 more guilds refusing outright, any further redistribution of the burden is now completely off the table. Judging by the attitude of these 2 families, they clearly don't agree to ceding territory either. They simply don't want to negotiate further and are prepared to just keep dragging this out. The discussion group fell silent again for a moment, before Jiang Yu spoke up. So, you 2 have decided.
We've decided.
They spoke in near-perfect unison, making one wonder if they'd been privately messaging each other.
3 groups have already pulled out, one after another. At this point, is there even any point in keeping this discussion group alive?
Jiang Yu was a straightforward person by nature, and he was utterly disappointed by this so-called alliance. With that parting shot, he quit the group chat. Night crossing the cold pool naturally followed right after. Seeing this, the remaining guilds realized there was truly no point left, and they began to withdraw, one after another. In the blink of an eye, the discussion group disbanded for lack of members. The various guilds began to hash out their own plans. The terms on the table were clear for all to see, leaving them with a simple choice between 2 options. So some guilds began contacting Ye Shu for private negotiations, but the majority leaned towards Misty Rainlock Tower and horse-treading West Wind, figuring that with such a vast thousand-wave lake, Happy was, after all, just a handful of people. A true clearing of the area was utterly impossible. It was better to just keep up the stalemate.